This is just me preparing for Parent-Teacher Conference Day. I always feel a little bit apprehensive once I start, just because I don't know how it's going to go. And launch year, school, first year, launching year, and at first conference, they didn't really know what Montessori was, what to expect. So they just kind of had a sense of like, are the children enjoying or not enjoying? Now they've been together with us for close to 6 months. And so it's always nice to see hear perspective from families who wouldn't have necessarily chosen Montessori, but this is where they are. So again, I always feel a little bit of anxiousness about it just because you really want them to be having a good experience of it, because whether or not they go on to a Montessori school into their kinder year, because we don't do kinder, it's just nice to have the feedback of like, is this really something that works for families, even if they don't ever choose a Montessori classroom again? So I will give you feedback. Well, hello. It is the end of my week. I did parent-teacher conferences yesterday. I'm just making a cup of coffee as I head out to work. Parent-teacher conferences were yesterday. 17 of the 17 of the 20 children, their families did make it in. I had a couple no shows, and one of them is out of the country, so of course they wouldn't be meeting with us. And it was really good. I could very much tell the transformation from the first conference. Look at my nice cup of coffee. From the first conference to the second conference, in that, we were met with a lot of hesitation. They didn't know who we were, even though we had been together with their children probably for about I would say a month and a half. It's still very new. And, as I mentioned to you, this was a program where this was a free preschool, which absolutely, and it was open to families who wouldn't normally be able to afford preschool, which again is amazing. But the part that was a little bit tricky is like, what does Montessori mean? Because, no one sought it out because it was a Montessori program. And so some were familiar, but the majority, I want to say like 90%, had no idea what that was supposed to mean. And so now, having been together, as a community since August, and it is now February. Sorry, I have a flickering light in here. It was like the first time to really like see and feel like how they are doing about the whole process. Body language, energy, all of those things. And it was beautiful. It was like person after person coming in, talking about how they saw the differences. I mean, I think I told you, I did like this extensive child growth summary that they got a week beforehand, so they got a chance to look that over, although some of them didn't really look it over, so I had a paper copy for them to take home and look over. Because many people are on their phones. A lot of people don't have laptops in their home necessarily, or see a need for a laptop. And so it's this summary where it's like, yeah, not so easy to read on your phone. Especially hurts your eyes and stuff like that. But at any rate, I mean, it was really, really positive feedback. One in particular had said that her child was not. English is the second language, and had been at other preschools and wasn't really talking before, had been in a prior preschool, and within the first 2 weeks talking in full sentences and animated and all of those things. So again, the things that your soul needs to hear as a teacher, especially when it's been so difficult. But I guess for me, and I think I've told you, there's been a lot of like going around and round with trying to understand, these, what we thought would be systems in place in the form of people who could handle, children who potentially would need services if they go into elementary school, and that role somehow being changed subtly or not so subtly into coaching what job I'm doing. I think the last conversations that I ended up having this week, it all happened this week, has really just gotten me to a sobering understanding that there has to be some change. I can try to, do all the things, the work-life balance, and trying to make 4-day weeks as much as possible. But I just think at the end of the day, that job was such an important part of what this program was supposed to be about. And that person in that position is not doing that job. And so it's making the job that I have so much more difficult, because I'm not trained to do the job that that person's trained to do. And that person seems unwilling or unable, but won't admit it, to do that job. And here we are at a standstill. We just are like, is someone coming in? Is someone going to save the day? Is someone going to see? And, again, this is where I call on the God who's above all things, because these families, I mean, yes, I'm going to do the best for these families, but there are bigger goals in the scheme of life for these families. And to have, those families not getting the proper support that they were meant to give in this program, it's not right. It's not right. So I promise you, when I see what's going to happen, because that change needs to happen, I will definitely let you know. And as I say that, I will head out to my Friday professional development day. All right, I'm in the classroom. Next week will be March, so I'm going through the takedown mode now. So I'm taking down all the Black History Month things. I'm going to take down the February self-portraits, and I'm going to come up with some sort of theme for them to do for the March self-portraits. Remember the beautiful snowflakes that kind of correspond with the self-portraits. So those are, these will go home, but I will save all the self-portraits and put them into a full, a little booklet for them to take on the last day of school. So for Black History Month, we talked about Katherine Johnson, person spotlighted in the movie Hidden Figures, NASA scientist, I should say NASA mathematician, Alma Thomas, and you saw the work that we did inspired by her. Also going to be changing out, I actually did this while I was waiting for a conference to start, so I took out the animals that represent Africa. Going to change out all of the continent folder cards and put Africa in. This is our new clothes hanging work, which I'm so excited about. It looks so great. So we've got a basket full of clothing that they can hang on the hangers, and I just need to find those hangers for hanging up pants. So yeah, super excited about it. It looks so good. So my assistant, well done, must have stayed a few minutes later to finish that up. So I'm really excited how that looks. I think the kids are going to love it. And then we also talked about George Washington Carver. And so what we did is each week I featured someone and a walkabout, so that, even when they were on the ellipse, I was rotating these around so that they could see the pictures, as they were on the ellipse. And then the last one is Gordon Parks. There's his work. Beautiful photographer. And so we're in Africa. We're going to be doing more waterworks. As I mentioned last month, we finally did the mortar work. We've started doing food prep. We're starting to think through the idea of having more of a family-style setting in the classroom for lunch. They already serve themselves at breakfast. I have this set up, and I'm just waiting for the mat to go down to catch the water. But I think it must have gotten either lost in the mail or something like that. So I need to resend that to get some sort of matting that goes there for the water to be caught. And then my desire at that point is for them to start washing washing dishes and things like that. They're washing dishes after breakfast, and then even though they're going to be washed again, just to have them in the process of once you're done with dishes, you can go ahead and wash them and put them away, So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. I mean, we definitely are going in the direction where we can start really doing those things that you would find in a traditional Montessori classroom, aside from, and we still have the 3 children. Actually, I would say it's gone down to 2 children that really need more support. And we're just doing the best we can with that. So on that note, today is Professional Development Day. So me coming in early today means that I just get some extra work done. And then we go into like literally all day of modules and meetings. So we don't really get any extra time in the classroom. So again, it serves me to be able to come in early. Although it's so funny because I was talking with another colleague, and apparently she comes in on Sundays. I'm like, I couldn't do it. I'll do the early morning hours, but to come in and give you an extra day, it's just, I don't have it in me. So bless her for doing that. I have a great team of teachers here. It really is. It's been a pleasure to work with them. All right, let me get to work. So I went to the gym after a ridiculously long week, hard week, and forced myself to go actually because it was 15, we were in professional development all day. I'm like, you know what, you're gonna go to the gym. So I go to the gym, change my clothes, go, because I'm determined to do my weight training. I'm into week number 8. I think I told you I've been doing them in 12-week segments, my workout regimen of weight training. So week 8, day 2. So I guess, technically week 20. And I get ready to set up, and I left my earbuds at home. My earbuds are at home because on Thursday evenings, I get on a Zoom call with my sister, and we just basically like hold each other accountable, and she works on things for her business. I work on things for my business. And for whatever reason, I did not put my earbuds back into my my purse. And I was just like, gosh almighty. It shouldn't all be this difficult, should it? So anyway, I was like, okay, you got 2 choices. You can just put it on, turn down the sound and do the workout, or you can go into the massage room. I went into the massage room, and I don't think I made a bad decision. It's now 5 o'clock. It is 93 degrees in Arizona, which is, again, another level of ridiculous for it to be 93 degrees on February 26th, while others are still experiencing snowstorms. But there you have it. I came to grips with the idea that this also means that very soon there will not be an outdoor environment anymore, and the 20 children will be back in the classroom on a full-time basis because it'll be too hot to have them outside. And it also means that more than likely, when I go to lunch, I have to figure out something for my assistant and whoever's going to, who would normally be on the playground with her, what they're going to do in the classroom. So I think what we're going to need to do is switch lunches, and then I'm just going to go to lunch at nap time, because there's no way I'm going to waste that amount of time in the classroom. We can't go back to just doing transitional work. They have to be doing something. So again, it's just like another reminder of just how so not set up for success these children are. And yet at our, all call meeting, all hands as we call it, for all the locations of the school getting on, who keeps getting spotlighted? The schools that are that have incredible test scores. And the only way you can get incredible test scores is if, yes, we have a Montessori classroom, you children are not doing practical life and you're not doing sensorial, and actually you're probably doing homework. Like, there's literally no other way to raise those low test scores, because just the matter of choice
it's just not, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So yeah, I think again, I was just reminded that every time I try to think of like things where it could be better, or I could be doing something better, or even like you're doing fine, just relax. You just realize like, no, maybe you really can't relax. Maybe it's a false sense of security that you have, especially when your CEO tells you that nobody's trying to be a mediocre school. And it's like, okay, but you said. And it's like, then who's the moron, right? Who's the moron? It's coming right out of his mouth. So I don't know. Like I said, I had the massage. Today's pizza day at our house. We do that every Friday. I'm probably going to come back with a new hairdo. I'm about ready to do a really big chop. I just, I'm just feeling like all kinds of just uncomfortable in my body and the things that I'm doing and the ways I'm going about things. And I just need to get some peace about how I'm going to do this job. And I think that's what ends up happening. Like every month when we get on these calls, I do pretty much make peace with how the children are transitioning and how I feel like they really are growing in the classroom. And then I get on and I, realize that everybody wants to have a classroom that excels. I think that's what it really comes down to. There's nothing wrong with wanting your children to excel, but I think the part that's really hard is that for a fact that these children are excelling not because they're using the Montessori materials. Because anyone familiar with Montessori knows you only have one set of materials at a time. And so what are those other children doing to practice? Because these materials, for the most part, are long works. They're quick. You don't do them quickly. So if you have one child or even 3 children, if you're in a small group setting, tied to doing those works, then what are your other 17 doing? The other reality I'm coming to terms with is I'm literally one of the few classrooms that still has 20 kids. During our parent-teacher conferences the other day, the assistants, because we didn't necessarily need to be there for the conference, they went to another location so they can observe, and all 3 of the classes had 14, 15 children. So there's also that. There's also the reality that the children that were being a hindrance to learning were disenrolled. That's not happening in our school. We're not disenrolling any children for any reason. And I know there's at least 2 children that probably should be, because they are literally hindering the ability of the other children, because it takes anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes to regulate them, get them back into regulation. And why that's important to say is because it causes every child to be a little nervous when you've got one child filling up the room with their cries and their tantrums, and if the model for this program would have stayed as is, then one teacher could have handled that while another teacher is making sure others are working, while the third teacher is actually doing all this magical teaching. So anyway, I definitely am getting very tired of feeling frustrated, and so I'm glad this is the weekend, and I plan on doing some weekend kind of things, so I will keep you posted on what I end up doing. And don't be surprised if there's a different hairstyle when I come back. All right, I am having a new hair who dis moment. Uh, it was such a week. I just thought I've just got to do something. And I'm really close to completely doing a big chop and just going curly. But again, because I'm older, I want to make sure that I'm really ready for it not to grow out if that kind of is like the state of where my hair stays and it doesn't get much longer than that. So anyway, I did a return to Walmart this morning. I talked with my sister in Colorado, and I had coffee with my other sister here, or should I say I had cake for breakfast with my other sister here. And she's also a teacher, so we really just like share ideas about how to, maneuver through the inertia that can be in a school system. And then I did a return, and it was so funny because when I was doing the return, I thought, I think something else needed to be returned. I got home, and sure enough, yes, I thought it was an Old Navy return. It was a Walmart return. But I did a return at JCPenney's also. I don't even think I can figure out how to show this. I do, of course, have a have a tripod. Okay, so this is what they are. So I've got them on sale. They're actually cute. I don't really like a capri pant, but this has like a what they call a kick pleat. I see it all the way down there. There we are. All right. So I got those, and then they were having a sale on jeans, which I am very hit or miss about a jean, right? But they were $25. I needed a new pair of jeans for bowling because the ones that I wear, you know how you wear them for so long, they just, no matter, even when you wash them, they're just too stretched out. It's time to change them up. So I got these for $25. And as you have seen before, I love a sailor pant. So these were also $25. Now, they had a red pair that are very similar to the ones that I have that are orange and blue, navy blue, but they didn't have it in my size. So I was super bummed about that. Maybe if I go online, they might have them. So there is that. But listen, again, so back to these. So these were in the clearance area, and usually I do not do clearance because it just takes so long to go through it. It's not enjoyable for me to do that, especially because, my side hustle is like sorting through clothes to sell. That is not enjoyable for me. That is my business. So, but somebody was very wise, and they broke it down by size. And so I was able to just very quickly go to my size and find them. And I found these pair. And I remember that when they were, also the painful part is I also found other clothes that I bought over Christmas that now are like 80% off. Ugh, that just kills me. I'm just going to be happy to say maybe my size wasn't there. I couldn't bear to look. Anyway, these pair of pants, I was very much on the fence over. And the reason why I mentioned this, because I told you, I've been feeling a little frustrated about doing my weight training because, again, it's about health, it's about all those things. You should be exercising, but I really don't feel like I see much of a difference. Well, I know full well when I tried these pants on in November, December, they did not fit that well. And I put them on. I'm like, listen, it's $7 for these pants. I will take them home and try them on at home. And I love the fit. So that is giving me momentum to go back to my routine. I still think I'm going to do a little bit of running in the middle of it just to break up the boredom. But now I've kind of been rejuvenated, like, okay, keep going on your weight training journey. So, all right. I did go to Goodwill as well. I will show you some of the finds there and my rationale for buying them and what I plan to do with them. But for right now, I'm going to... Well, I guess I can show it to you. What I'm doing is I think I told you that for transition times, like right before nap time, I give the children puzzles to work on. Well, one or two of the children just couldn't handle it, like tantruming and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, I'm gonna have to bring them home. My puzzles back home, I bought them, and I'm just gonna organize them, and then I'm gonna just maybe bring them back and use it maybe at the end of the school day, so they can do it at the end of the school day. And that way, the tantruming, you're going right with your parents. Hopefully that minimizes the tantruming. But anyway, so, again, as always, is this my home? Is it a schoolroom? So I had to go through and organize and see what's not missing or what's missing pieces and all that. And sadly, let me see if I can show them to you. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 puzzles that are either damaged or are missing pieces. I just don't even know what to say. Again, you know, that's part of the risk. I have a book that I took back to the library where someone tore the what is it called, the dust jacket, and it's just like even my assistant teacher said, yeah, there's no way I would bring my own books off my library card in here. And I'm like, this is part of it, though. I want them to enjoy the books, and I want them to know that there's a place to go to get these things. And this is the casualty of it, is sometimes I have to pay for a book. But yeah, when I saw it torn and I tried to fix it, and again, someone then took the tape off of it, it was just like, oh my gosh, I have to just stay in the zone of like, where in my life have I done something where God's looking at me going, no, he doesn't, but you know what I mean? The human side of me thinking God's going, well, look at you right now. Picking at something you should leave alone. That's a nice little metaphor, isn't it? Anyhow, all right, I'm going to get back to doing these puzzles. So I'm just basically organizing them, making sure all the pieces are there. I'm going to put them back into bags. And one thing I didn't do last time is I did make sure they all have a picture. So even the ones that were like in a wood frame, and it doesn't come with a picture, I will take a picture of it and I will put it in there so they can see it, because it does really help. But I didn't put like the same code that I used on the puzzle pieces to make sure they all went together. I didn't do it with this, so at least I also got to do that too. So like I said, it's tedious work. I literally had them here for about 3 days on the floor, and my family's just gotten so used to this is how it works in teaching, unfortunately. But yeah, now I'm I this morning woke up energized and ready to sort through these puzzle pieces. All right, I will be back.